Filomena Fanelli is not your typical business leader. As the founder of Impact PR and Communications, she's built her company and her reputation on a rare blend of authenticity, empathy, and relentless curiosity. Now, Filomena didn't set out to run her own agency, but when she saw a gap in the market and couldn't find the kind of workplace she wanted, she created it herself. Her journey is defined by bold choices, such as seeking mentors from a wide range of backgrounds, building a workplace culture where diverse perspectives are celebrated, and leading her company in a way that combines flexibility with accountability. What truly sets her apart is her willingness to ask tough questions and embrace discomfort. In a poignant moment, Filomena made us stop and rethink what really drives business success. In a world obsessed with ROI and numbers, she argues that trust is the real currency of business and introduces a new metric, ROT, return on trust.
When executives have conversations in boardrooms, those C-suite folks, you hear so much about ROI, return on investment, numbers, data, and all of those things matter. I'm not poo-pooing any of that, but I think the real metric to measure, the real game changer for people is ROT, return on trust. That is the thing that is going to ultimately keep a company in good standing, help it grow, and it does lead to profitability and results. When people know who you are and what you stand for, when they feel connected to you on an emotional level and they know that everything is lining up and you are who you are and they love it, they're gonna feel like a real connection to that brand.
Stay with us as Filomena shares with honesty and humor how she built her unique award-winning culture and the hard leadership lessons she learned along the way. Plus, hear her advice on how you can apply the power of trust to your own work and life. This episode is packed with insights you won't want to miss. I'm Lauren Mask. Please join me and my best friends at work, Naomi Lippin and Mel Boyd Brown, where we invite experts to talk about work, life, and leadership and how to do them better. Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Terrific.
Awesome. I gotta turn up my volume because I can't hear you. There we go. Hey, maybe that'll help. Technology. Just the volume button. Makes me think of those times when I was working full time and the IT jokes about people going, "Oh, my computer's not working. Is it plugged in? Oops." I'm sure those things still happen. I'm sure. I'm a little tired today. I got home a little late last night.
What were you doing that you got home late?
Went to an event, a Christmas event for the Chamber of Commerce, for our local Chamber of Commerce, the Orange County Chamber of Commerce. A little shout out here, New York Orange County, though not the California Orange County. And it was lovely. It was lovely. A beautiful restaurant on the water in Newburgh called Blue Point. And it was gorgeous. A lot of fun people. And, I told my husband, it's only 5:30 to 7:30. I think I got home around 10:45. But it was good. Met some lovely people out there trying to, just have some fun in the middle of this crazy, crazy world we have, right? So, how are you guys doing?
Good. I'm good. I also went to an event yesterday, a luncheon for the Hudson Valley Women in Business. And so it was, they awarded 20 outstanding women in business. And it was in a really very interesting event space in Poughkeepsie, which is in the Hudson Valley in New York. And also met some really interesting women. It was very nice, and all different kinds of business owners were um, acknowledged. So,
Nice.
it's always great to see how women come together. I mean, there were other people, there weren't just women there, but mostly women, how we can lift one another up. And it makes a really big difference. So it was really fun.
That's
Oh,
really
that
nice.
sounds lovely. Absolutely lovely. And Mel, what about you? Checking in
I'm good. I'm a little chilly. It snowed last night. So the
again.
temperature has again, the temperature has finally dropped. It's getting a little colder in Canada. Um, but it's good. Maybe we'll have a white Christmas.
Mm, nice.
Yeah, it'll snow 3 days before, 2 days after, but never.
Then it'll
Not
rain the day
the
of. You'll have the brown ground.
holiday. Well, I am super excited about our guest today.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Me
you
too.
know, I know
Yeah.
her, but through another friend, which I think is really interesting. I love this small world thing, Mel. Um, a very good friend of mine knows our guest, and then Naomi met her in a different
At a
situation.
actually at a networking event.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys know her, but differently.
Yes.
Yes. Isn't that
Ah,
funny? I didn't know her though. My friend knew her. So I was like, Naomi kept saying her name, and I'm like, why does that sound familiar? Why does that sound familiar? I figured it out, and my friend was like, yeah, she's a good friend of mine. And so I think that's really great. The 6 degrees of separation here.
I was
Mm-hmm.
But I
anxious
have
to
met
know.
her since.
Mhm.
And she is just amazing and someone I definitely admire for sure. So, yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool. I'm very excited to chat with her.
Okay, so shall we bring her in or introduce her?
Why don't you introduce her first and then we'll bring her on
Okay,
in?
terrific. I'll do this quickly. I met Philomena, or Phil, as she likes to be called by her friends, so we can call her Phil.
Phil,
Um,
color
I
Phil.
met her, I met her at a Women's Economic Development Corporation networking event, and she was the featured speaker, and she spoke about networking. And I immediately was impressed with her. She's warm, she's witty. And when she spoke about networking, it was really about if you're talking with other people to get something, forget about it.
Hmm.
It's talking with people to connect
Mm,
and with curiosity and to have it not just be here's my business card, here's my business card, here's my business card. So I decided that I wanted to be friends with her. So we have moved forward with that.
That's
So
so
let me just,
poignant. Hey, Naomi, not to interrupt, but that's so poignant because I'm thinking about my time last night at the chamber event. And, I'm walking around, and I'm just going, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Right. And it wasn't until I finally ran into a couple of people who I have met over a year ago now. And we were like, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. And it was great. And we just connected and connected. And, I turned to the one guy, he's an engineer guy. And I said, why the heck are you going to do these chamber events? Like, who are you trying to meet? And so we ended up having a really wonderful conversation about, him. And I was really making it about him. And then it got on to me as well. And he goes, gosh, that sounds like something fun we could do at my company, doing the Clifton Strengths teamwork. And I went, yeah. And he goes, send me something. And it was so nice because my intent and my direction to talk to him had nothing to do with potential work. It was really about, connecting with him and helping him out. So thanks, Naomi, for reminding me about that. I appreciate that because I
of
think
course.
there's a lot of power in that. And it's true because
Mhm.
even if he hadn't mentioned that, it's still nice for us to connect
Mhm.
as human beings and see how we can help each other.
So that's terrific. And that was her message. And that message carries over into who she is.
Right.
So into her introduction. So she's been in the PR industry for over 25 years. She's also the CEO and founder of Impact PR and Communications, firm that was named Women-Owned Business of the Year by the Small Business Association this year in 2024, and Top Women Run Workplace of the Year previously. And so she's had a number of accolades. So you can, if you want to follow up on noting how many times she's been awarded things, please do. But the most important thing about her is that it's not about all of the awards that she wins. It's really about connecting with the people that she does business with and doing the best that she can with them and for them. In addition to which, she's really a very active volunteer in the community. So she's not just a businesswoman extracting, she's a woman who's giving back. She's also a mother and a wife, and she has two teenage daughters. And she says she created Impact PR and Communications because she saw a demand in the market, right? Great place to start for all of us who are in business, but also because she wanted to create the job that she always wanted for herself. So we go back to this idea of empowering ourselves, right, to create the lives that we want. And so I think that that kind of sums up Filomena. And let's bring her on and hear from
Yeah.
her herself.
Keep all our listeners waiting. They're all like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta meet her now." At least I hope
Beautiful
they are,
summary,
right?
Naomi.
All right,
Beautiful.
here she comes.
Hi, it's wonderful to be with you all today.
We are super excited. Hi, how are you? And we're super excited to have you.
I'm doing well. Yeah, I think I'm just as excited as you are. I'm
It's
so
very
ready
cool.
to chat with you all.
I'm Mel. I think I'm the only person who hasn't met you. And I'm
Mel,
thrilled
it's nice
meet
to
you.
officially meet you.
Nice to officially meet you as well.
Yeah.
And just so you know, Phil, you're speaking to, we are a global podcast because Mel is in Canada. She's
Oh, I had
Canadian.
no idea.
Yeah.
Nice. We're going
Yeah.
big here. I like it.
Yeah,
We're
Canada.
representing the North.
Yeah, our
Yes,
sister to
have
the
to
north.
represent.
Just another area code, though. Really.
We're all
Great.
Just
connected.
kidding. Just kidding.
Right.
Awesome. Like, where should we begin? Naomi, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So, Phil, you know, you're a woman, you started your own company, you've been very successful. So we'd really like to hear from you a little bit about your journey to becoming the successful, very well awarded
Yeah.
businesswoman that you are. I think our listeners would like to hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. I didn't set out to become the owner of my own agency. That was never my intention and plan. It sort of evolved along the way. What I did do is spend a lot of years in the public relations industry, about 15 of them or so, before noticing a need in the market around me, something that I thought could be done differently, and thinking, well, maybe I could create the job I want. My original intention was just to create something that worked for me. And then I very rapidly realized, hey, I could create this for other people too. And I grew what today is known as Impact PR and Communications. And we're in business more than 10 years now. And we help businesses, organizations with bolstering their reputation, getting their names in the news, turning leaders into thought leaders. But more importantly, I've created my ideal scenario that I couldn't quite find the right solution out there for me in terms of a workplace I felt good about and that I was excited to head into every day. And that was one that coupled flexibility with productivity, which is definitely a hard balance, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. So, what do you think gave you almost, I'm going to say, the confidence to
Mhm.
do what to create something that really speaks to you?
Yeah, well, the first thing is I did not imagine it growing bigger. So I thought I was taking this tiny baby step. But what was critical to taking that first step was feeling like I had support, information, and resources around me. And that came in the form of friends and mentors from my world, many of them women, who, when I told them I thought I had this business idea and I saw a need in the market. They provided me with encouragement, but also shared a few things that I should not do and some steps they wish they took when they first started their own businesses. And for that reason, whenever anyone calls me up and says, I'm interested in starting a business or I have this idea, it doesn't matter how busy I am. I really do try to carve out time to listen and to share with them, because that was what helped me take that giant leap. That was actually a tiny leap, but it felt enormously big at the time because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I would be successful. But just knowing that I could turn to them and ask those questions over a lunch that I bought a friend or over a quick telephone call, and that other people were so supportive and encouraging. And now I get to be that for others.
That's beautiful. What do you feel like the lessons are that you've learned along the way of 10, like 10 years is a long time to be in business. Most businesses don't even last that long. What are the lessons that you think you've learned?
Don't go it alone.
Oh, I love that.
Have a network around you. Some people call it that board of advisors, but hanging out with other people who are doing the thing you're doing doesn't even need to be the same kind of business, but just other people who are living that lifestyle, making those decisions, taking those risks. You can almost borrow your bravery from them. And I think that's been a key lesson for me. The network really is your net worth. It's so invaluable to have people around you. And in addition to the women who I mentioned, who were so inspiring to me and so encouraging, I've also found men in my world who have been a great support. One critical move I made, and that I encourage others to do, is to get out of your comfort zone when it comes to networking and ideation. Go find people who do things that are very different from what you're doing and ask them how they're building it, how they're doing it, how they're managing the teams that they lead. So for me, that involved joining a business book club. That when I joined it, it was all men, and they were primarily men in the trades, or in businesses that looked absolutely nothing like mine. And I've learned so much from spending time with them. And by the way, there are now 2 other women in our group, so that's really cool. Yeah. But it's not an expected move, because at first my tendency was to gravitate to people who looked and felt like me, people who ran businesses like mine, other females, and that was wonderful. But at some point, in order to continue to grow and to thrive, I had to be open to accepting feedback and ideas from people who are not like me. And that's more challenging. It's less comfortable.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, you too.
Naomi, just two things that I think Naomi has a question, but just 2 things you said that I just want to pull out for our listeners. Your network is your net worth. Like, I've never thought about it that way until you said that. So that really stood out for me. And then the second one was that, like, seeking that diversity around you. Don't stay in your own world, but really expand yourself and think about something bigger. Sorry, Naomi.
No. That's perfect, because I was going to build on the idea of diversity also, because Phil, your experience really connects with and makes real the stuff that I've been reading and the research that's been done about, how companies really, the highest performing companies embrace people with different perspectives, right? How important that is for success. So you don't really want to be surrounded just by people who think like you, even though it could feel a little like this, a little jarring, a little, not like, oh, look, we think so much alike. How great is that, right? But when you're in business, it's a different story. And also, truly, even in terms of self-development, right, that we develop when there's a little bit of conflict, when our thoughts or our beliefs or our values are challenged a little bit, it makes us have to take a step back and say, is there another way to look at this? And what if I looked at it like this instead of that? What might that mean for me personally, for my business, all of that? So I love your experience. I love what you've done just organically.
Oh, yeah, there was no playbook. I won't claim any form of like genius or whatever. A lot of these things were discovered by accident. And it started internally in the business. by hiring people who weren't comfortable, who challenged the status quo, who asked questions, or had ideas that were counter to what I was used to doing or like doing. And that is, it's deeply unsettling at first, I will admit. Even hiring people with different personalities than yours, some of the best ideas that have brought our agency forward have come from people who identify as extreme introverts. And in our business, there's a bias towards those who are extroverted. And I've even heard other PR agency owners say, oh, we're all extroverts, aren't we? That is not true. And in fact, the people with personalities quite different from mine are the ones who are often able to step back, reflect, and share another way with me. And if I'm open to, and it's not easy to do, but if I'm open to really listening to that feedback, sitting in my discomfort and stepping away and asking, well, what would that look like? Often we're going to become better and stronger for our clients, but also for one another, because then there's a sense of balance and harmony.
Yeah. I love that. I'm curious, when you're working with your clients, how easy is it for them to embrace that idea of having diversity in their strategies and their communications? Like when you come in, are they sort of like, hey, Phil, we think it's this, and it's part of your job to be like, well, let's take a step back.
Mel, have you been sitting in on my conversations? No. This happens very often. Typically, when we get a phone call and somebody wants to engage, they often have a preconceived notion of what that's going to look like, what it is they want. They often have this big, great idea. And sometimes the seed of the idea itself is not a bad one, but maybe it needs to be reimagined in a way. And part of our role is to listen to what it is, not just what they're saying, but what they really are saying underneath what they're saying. Get to the heart of what it is they need, not what it is they want initially, because often they are two different things. And it is a skill set to step back and to take all of that information in and to say, well, that's a great idea. However, if we did it this way, I think it would get you the result you're really after. And here are some options to get us there.
I love that. What they need, not what they want, right?
Yeah, but also we're generally setting, and this is something I would advocate no matter what kind of business you're running, we're setting the expectations going in before those people become engaged with us. So we send them information when they first inquire about what it's like to partner with us, what they can expect in terms of the experience, and also our expectations for them. And part of that is a sense of radical candor. And in the spirit of collaboration and getting to that better result, you're going to hear from us what we really think will help you with your problem. And we're asking that you be open to that in the same way we're going to be open to what you're after and your direction. But we are advisors, we're counselors, and we set that expectation from the beginning. We're not McDonald's. I'm not going to ask if you'd like fries with that. I'm going to make suggestions about what would curate your menu. And I look to work with those kinds of people. And if I sense from the get-go that someone's expectations are not aligned with reality, or that they're not using the skill of public relations for the greater good, that's my chance to check my value system, to keep my promise to my team and to say, I don't know if this is a match here, or there might be a conflict of interest for us, or perhaps you'd be better served in another direction, or maybe it isn't even PR that they need. And sometimes that's the conversation, is they call us up thinking they need us. And after hearing them out, maybe they need an advertising firm, or maybe they need a website developer. And I need to be frank about that. But it takes bravery. It's easy to collect dollars, and it's hard to step away from the money and to see the mission first. But the mission always leads to growth and good results, but you have to believe.
I love that grounding that you had of like going back to your values and mission for the, like, are we aligned in that work first and foremost?
Yes.
Because that's really where it all starts, right? That's how you end up delivering really great value on the other end, is because you're aligned where you think you can add value to the client.
Absolutely.
Yep. And to build on that for a moment, just to connect that to the kind of culture you've created in your workplace, right? How do you think that kind of mindset has, for you as a leader, has impacted the kind of culture you've developed for your team?
Well, it starts with what my belief is about culture, Naomi, which is when someone agrees to work at our agency, I'm making a promise to them. I've shared with them what they can expect, what we're all about, who we are as an organization. And I'm either keeping that promise or I'm breaking that promise, not through words or fancy slogans on a wall, but through day-to-day decisions and actions that either say, we're in this together and I'm living up to this promise, or it was just
Mm-hmm.
empty rhetoric. I don't mean this. And people can
Mm-hmm.
sense when there's a lack of lineup between the words and the actions, between the stated values and the reality of the lived experience. And I'm not going to say we get it right every single time. We don't. Nobody does. And I think that's part of the beauty of it. Organizations are living, breathing things. They grow and evolve. Values even change over time. And when we know better, we do better. But we have to be open to asking for critical feedback, for having honest conversations with ourselves and others, and to making those adjustments along the way to live up to these ultimate values that we've stated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, well, just building on what Naomi said, like how often are you with clients where in the work that you do with them, they end up, I almost want to use the word realigning, but maybe that's the wrong word, but they come back and end up getting more grounded in their values. Because sometimes values can be those things and vision that for some companies, we set them, we have great intentions, but then they sort of sit on the wall a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't kind of come back into us. And then often it can be a crisis that reorientates us. Does that happen a lot in the work that you do?
It does. I think often we are those people who remind them of what they said they believe in and what they want to be known for, because I can put out a million press releases and fabulous stories about a company, but if they're not living up to that, it's still not going to help them. Like all the beautiful PR stories in the world are not going to help if you haven't put the work in consistently over time. And in my profession, we have an ethical responsibility to call people on it and to remind them, or even to back them up and be like, why are we doing this? Is this really what you mean to do? Is this person a true expert to talk about this issue? Or is there someone better suited to be the voice of this issue? And sometimes like they'll jump on a bandwagon, something's a trending topic and they'll want to speak on it, but not everybody should speak on everything. It really should be people with the proper authority and passionate beliefs to back it up, because people are smarter than we give them credit for, Mel. They can see through nonsense. And I think in recent years, we've seen companies being called to task for saying one thing and doing another, or for proudly proclaiming, it could even be like women's rights, like pink washing everything and then dialing it back when it's convenient for them, or not genuinely meaning it and just wanting to be a trending thing on social media. And I think we have to give the consumer more respect than that.
Yeah.
They deserve that.
It did. And as you're describing this, what came up for me is it's like you're this beautiful accountability partner also with them, right? Like
I get to ask some really hard questions. It's actually one of the most fun parts of my job, is that I get to say, you wanted to do something positive. Like, what can we do? What nonprofit organizations line up with what you say you care about? Is this a good alignment or is it not? Is this a good partnership for you? Is this a brand you want to be associated with? Are you an expert? What are you really an expert on and why? And then we can get to the results part. But I think asking those really critical questions first, backing it up at times, giving options, and forcing choices and direction out of people helps them become who they truly are meant to be as individuals and also as corporations. Yeah. And really, if we're doing the art of public relations correctly, we're changing hearts, we're changing minds, we're changing actions. And when PR is practiced ethically and with organizations who are trying to do good for the world, that will happen. people will become educated about an issue, or they will become inspired or informed, or they'll know what a business stands for. And when there is that moment of, potentially crises, because crises happen even to good people and good companies, the public knows what you stand for. You have a built up sense of trust, like almost like money in the bank with them. And they're often going to come to your defense and remind people of who you are and what you stand for, or tell them that's not kind.
Yeah. I love what you just said, Phil, because I think it's really at the foundation of so much of what we're talking about on this podcast about workplaces and relationships between people. It's really trust, right? And you mentioned trust, and you mentioned respect, and how the sort of mutuality of that, right? So companies and consumers, the nexus of that relationship when it's right is trust and respect.
Yes.
And I don't think people really always think about it like that, right? So PR and marketing can sometimes have a bad rep. Right? Right?
Yes.
Right?
We've heard the term spin doctor, flat, even PR chick, like very demeaning, because what we're really doing is managing reputations and messaging, and that's serious intellectual work. It's not fluffy or cute. There's no martinis involved. We don't need to wear the color pink to do that work. It's very heartfelt and sincere. And when it's done well, it can really move the world in a positive direction. And I believe in that with my whole heart. I've seen it work. I've seen people change their minds. I've seen them better understand an issue. I've seen them donate to a cause because now they're connected in a really authentic way. But I couldn't agree with you more, Naomi, about trust. When executives have conversations in boardrooms, those C-suite folks, you hear so much about ROI, return on investment, numbers, data, and all of those things matter. I'm not poo-pooing any of that. But I think the real metric to measure, the real game changer for people is ROT, return on trust. That is the thing that is going to ultimately keep a company in good standing, help it grow, and it does lead to profitability and results. When people know who you are and what you stand for, when they feel connected to you on an emotional level, and they know that everything is lining up and you are who you are and they love it, they're going to feel like a real connection to that brand. And it is measurable over time. It's not the immediate hit people are looking for. If they're looking for that quick hit, public relations and reputation and relationship building is not it. But what good relationship happens overnight? All good relationships, even our personal ones with our loved ones or with our friends, those friends at work even, happen over time. You don't start a job and have a BFF on day one usually. You might feel a sense of connection or synergy, but it's those interactions over time. It's those conversations on a tough day, or that ability to open up and share something and know that what you've said is going to be kept confidential with your friend. It's, being in the trenches together. Over time, you're going to develop a relationship. And similarly, companies can't expect to have a real relationship if they're looking for a quick hit and a one-sided relationship. That's not going to work.
I just so resonate with everything that you're saying, and it makes so much sense. So when you think about your own business and sort of your trajectory, Phil, how has that played out for you? And have there been any sort of moments in if you feel comfortable sharing?
Oh gosh, there have. And the one thing I've learned about leadership is you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And there are times I am so uncomfortable and I don't know what to do, or I even make the wrong call and learn from it. And especially over a 10+ year period, believe me, I've had my foibles. The first time someone went into my office to resign from their position, I handled it so poorly, so poorly. I cringe today just thinking about it, and I laugh. And I've shared it with this person since, and we chuckle about it over lunch because we're still on great terms. and she's getting a holiday card in the mail this year. But I didn't know what to do. I think I was in shock, and I responded in a very awkward way where I said, okay, I'm going to go for a walk now. Have a great weekend kind of thing, and just walked out of the office without a jacket in the middle of the winter and went on a very, very long walk because I just didn't know how to process. Because business to me is so personal, and I hadn't yet learned, and now I've gotten better at it, to separate the individual and their relationship with me and with the business to them and their desire for their own path and autonomy and respect for that. And it took me handling it poorly and sort of eating crow. And I'm very public about how terribly I handled that to learn from it. But there have been good wins also where something challenged my comfort level, how I felt, and I came out the other side stronger, because the truth is we don't know everything. I don't care what kind of business you're running, you're not going to know everything. And the easiest part is often figuring out the business end, how to price your product or service, how to sell it to customers. To me, that's cake. I thought that was going to be the hard part of running my business. It turns out that was the easiest part. The hard part was growing a team, dealing with changes with that growth, figuring out how to manage and lead different people and personalities, and probably more important than all of that, how to lead myself. How to show up as the person I need to be for them. And that takes some hard work and reflection, and maybe some yoga classes.
Love it.
I love that. I really, I really love that last piece you said about knowing yourself, right? And probably because of the work that Naomi and I both do in the space of coaching, is how impactful that can be as a leader when you start to understand what it is about you that gets activated in different situations, but also what your vision is and what you care about. If you had any advice for leaders, what would it be about the act of leading?
Take the time to manage you, because you can't show up and help others if you don't know who you really are. And I think doing that fearless inventory of, and this will resonate with what Naomi does and probably what you do too, Mel, but where your strengths lie, because I definitely have strengths, we all do, but I also have weaknesses, and being self-aware about what those are, knowing you can't always fully master them, but you can ask for help. You can stop and say, I've gotten this wrong. How am I going to do better? I think that piece, just fearless inventory and ownership. I've learned to take more ownership of my decisions and actions. And I feel like that's made me a better leader, not a perfect leader, but a better one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's a great, I mean, that's really at the core, I think, of also just being a good human being, right? Being able to take that, I love that, fearless inventory, radical candor, those words, the phrases that use, of course, we can tell that you're in PR. Kidding, because
I also read a lot
seriously.
of books, right? And I think that's very helpful to leaders, whether it's a book, a podcast, like, Best Friends at Work, whatever it is you're listening to expand your world and take in from other places. Like, you're not the first person to do this, and you won't be the last, but be willing to learn from others. Read a book, listen to a podcast, talk to a friend, admit what you don't know, and raise your hand and say, I don't understand this profit and loss statement, or I'm not sure how to deal with this uncomfortable employee situation. I actually shared in another time and place with Naomi one time a story about an employee who had a very unfortunate and sudden passing in her family. And she called me up out of nowhere, and I didn't know the right words to say. I didn't know what to do. I led with empathy, but right after I got off the phone with this individual, I immediately turned to a network that I have of other PR agency owner friends. And I started asking really hard questions. Have you lost a spouse or a child? Has someone on your team suffered this loss? What did that look like? How did you best support them? What's your leave policy? Have you updated it recently? Through those conversations, we completely revamped our leave policies for bereavement, led with empathy, demonstrated our values to our team and to that individual. But also there were several other people who were in on that conversation that I had through a private social media board of friends, like a very curated group of people in a professional service group I belong to. Several of them came to me and said, because of that conversation, we're redoing our bereavement policy. We're taking a look at what we've done wrong. I just realized how woefully inadequate our policy really is. Like, if you lose a child, you should not have 3 or 5 days off of work. Like, that is not okay. Ditto a spouse. So I learn from people like that and things they share, and I bring it to my agency. But I'm also very open about sharing those moments where I don't know how to lead and what to do with them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got little goosebumps as you talked about that, just that, like, how engaged and proactive and on top of it you are as a leader, but also that brain trust that you have, that you access.
Critical.
Like, what an incredible group of leaders, frankly.
They are people I admire. So I belong to a professional service group called Counselors Academy, and it's all PR agency owners. So what I said about having people who have run businesses nothing like yours, important, but then also having a network of folks who are engaged in the same kind of business you are can be valuable. Those people not only took in that conversation and shared honestly, people who had lost their own child or spouse or had a coworker do so, but they also sent me, a group of them, a beautiful bouquet of flowers that arrived to my house, like affirming that I'm a good leader and reminding me to lean into that. Like, they sent me a bouquet when my team member had a loss. Like, how I was so moved by that. But that's the kind of people I surround myself with and why I become who I am. It's not like I have some magical power. It's that I've tapped into all of these people who I admire greatly, or who know things I don't yet, simply because they've been doing it longer or they've been doing it differently. Maybe they're brand new, but they have a perspective to share.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing come through loud and clear is your growth mindset, Phil. Right? That you are always, there's this idea of, reading books, listening to podcasts, connecting with people, and really being open. Like, it's not like you've been in business for 10 years. You received numerous awards for, so you're quite accomplished. But when listening to you, it's like you don't have a mindset of, okay, I've arrived. I'm done.
But I haven't.
Yeah, I know, but that's
But you can see that
I think, right. But that's very special. And I think it is one of the most important ingredients to being a really great leader, is that you as your business, as your team members, right, are having this growth and open and curious mindset, right? Because things don't stay the same, right? Your business, right, 10 years ago, excuse me, is probably different than what it is today, right?
Dramatically so.
Right? So really just being open, I just think that it's a really important message for the listeners that, yeah, you never arrive.
No, and I think we can't sit comfortable on what we've done, like our greatest hits, because there's a whole future ahead of us and the world is constantly changing, not only our businesses, but the world around us. So what worked and served me when I first started in this industry a quarter century ago is not what it takes to be successful today. Like, there's so much more ahead of us than there is behind us.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
I love it. It's so optimistic and positive, and we really need that energy. We need that energy in the world.
Yeah, and I think being open to critical feedback also is key. So one thing, a team member of mine had suggested it when we went to a conference together and we heard about other companies doing this, is we started sending out anonymous surveys to our team, asking insightful questions about the frequency of things, what tools they feel like they need to do their job better, like all sorts of great questions. And when you do one of those, it's really interesting because you get like feel good stuff that makes you feel like, wow, I'm doing a great job. And then sometimes you get comments that you're like, oh, I didn't realize I'm coming off that way. Or, wow, I didn't know people wanted XYZ. Or, oh, this is what they really value. Like, I think they need this, 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 but here are the benefits they really care about. So those aren't easy to do, but I think that it really is important to get feedback and not always like self-congratulatory feedback.
What I love about that is that comes back to that point you said in the very beginning about seeking like diverse perspectives.
Yeah.
Right. And not just assuming that, like, tell me what a great job I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
But what else do you need? And not assuming that the way that you're looking at it is the only way to look at it.
And also what fires me up might be a completely different experience for someone else with a different life situation and viewpoint. Like, things that fire me up and exciting stress can equal burnout for somebody else. And for me, it's like, I thrive on that fast pace and that novelty and excitement, and I crave it almost. I think I seek it out. And for other people, that can look like chaos. So I sometimes need to check myself. The one thing I have discovered is I would not want to work in a room full of Filomenas. And I will go on record saying that. Like, I don't mind a couple people with similar personalities to me, but I would not want to be in the room with a whole bunch of me's. That would be a very boring day. I don't think our clients would get the best result, and I think we'd all be exhausted. So I'm grateful for everyone who is not me.
So funny. That's great. Well, you know, we are coming to the end of our time together. Filomena, do you have any kind of last words for listeners around organizational, you know, company culture, or anything that you feel like people really would benefit from hearing from you?
Well, I think it's important, even if you have a clearly stated value proposition and mission and vision, to remember that, first of all, people have short attention spans, but also there are new people in your mix. So always retelling the stories of who you are, how you got there. And it goes back to basic PR principle. And one of my favorite sayings that I tell everyone out there is like, if you don't share your story, someone else will.
Oh, yeah.
You have to share your story. It should be an authentic one. It should be one backed up by actions, but share your story regularly with others. Keep telling it. Things take lots of time to absorb, and people do need reminders. Even if you're doing the right thing, even if you're consistent, explaining how you got here and what you're doing is so important. And it will help you in times that are less certain.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. I'm actually going to take that away because I just spent this week with the client building a team culture piece, and I'm going to share that perspective with them. Thank you.
Yeah. This was so much fun. I'm so glad we did this.
It was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I admire greatly the work you are all doing in your spaces to help organizations ask hard questions and to help people take that important inventory so they can lead better and enjoy work and form real friendships and relationships, because that is what it's all about. At the end of the day, you know, your company might close, you might change directions, but it's those relationships you've formed along the way that are so important, and hopefully what everyone takes when they leave whatever role they're in.
Perfect. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Filomena, Phil, and we will we'll be talking more, I'm sure.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I'd love to have you back on again. That was amazing.
Anytime. I'm happy to do it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Mel.
We did it.
We did it. We did it. She's amazing. I know. I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh.
The first time I heard her speak, and the way that her whole presence when she was talking about networking, I'm like, I need to know this person. And so that was about a year ago.
Yeah.
A little over a year ago that I met her. And, you know, we've met. I did Clifton Strengths with her just because I wanted her to experience it. And we've had several conversations. And so I'm really hoping that this will be a relationship that will develop, because I think she has so much integrity.
Yeah, I really appreciated so much what she said. It felt like a master class, not just in PR, but on leadership and how to be a leader. As we listened to her. I can't, first of all, I can't wait to hear the recording. I can't wait to see the transcript. There were so many like beautiful nuggets that she pulled out. Like the network is your net worth and getting out of your comfort zone. And someone else will tell you a story and reminders and ROI. Like there were so many that I just thought, oh, this is a brilliant human being.
Yes, and I love that when she said not our return on investment, but return on trust.
Yeah.
Right. Because any of us who are, well, whether you're in business for yourself or you're an internal employee, it is all about the relationships that you build and the trust that you, like currency in the bank, right? Because if you're internal, it's about relationships you build, and what path you want for yourself in that company is based on the trust that you engender around you, right? Because you'll get promoted if people feel like they can, you do what you say what you do. And if you have your own business, it is all about what is your reputation. And your reputation is based on trust, right?
Go ahead.
No, that's it.
I was going to just widen and say, I mean, business, but also just life, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Well, it's all connected, right, Mel? Right. Because you are who you are and how you show up, no matter whether it's in your family or it's at work, if you're an employee or if you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur. It's all about who you are and how you show up. So yeah, so doing that work on yourself, being that, you say, fearless, taking that fearless inventory and having people around you that can also support you in that, because there are, like she said, we only see ourselves through our own lens. So having that group of people that you trust around you who can also say, Naomi or Mel or any of us, you thought you might be coming across this way, but you know what? That's not exactly how that landed. So you might want to check that out, right? So I think that it's, we're all on this path of evolving.
Yeah, we really are. Thank you so much for introducing us to her. And I really would love to have her come back.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think we can end here. I don't want people to not notice that we noticed that Lauren
Is gone.
is gone. We noticed that. I actually don't know what happened, but rest assured that something must have happened, because she loves this podcast. And so Lauren,
She was texting us during the conversation. So there was a stream going on. Her internet crashed. She tried to come back on twice, and she could not. So I said, that's okay. We will carry along without you.
Yes, and okay, good. I wasn't paying it. I knew that I could see out of the corner of my eye that something was going on, but I was really just wanting to stay fully present. I figured whatever it was, it must have been something that did not allow her to come back on, because I know that she would have in a heartbeat. So listen, technology, as we all know, great when it is, and when it isn't,
and it isn't.
That's it. So Mel, have a great weekend.
Thank you so very much for spending some time with us. We hope you got something out of this episode. Now, if you liked it, do us a huge favor and take a moment and hit the like button. Did you do it? Thanks. Now, are you curious about who is next? Well, then please subscribe to the podcast. It'll help our channel so very much if you do choose to subscribe. Because, of course, the more subscriptions we get, the more opportunities we have to scale up our production, the types of guests we can have, and overall improve on what we can do to make the experience you want and might need. I feel like I sound like a public radio station fundraiser right now. Well, I guess that makes sense because we want you to come back again. So hit that subscribe button. It's super easy. Thanks so much, and we can't wait for you to join us for our next episode at Best Friends at Work.